Hello, everyone. So, I of course talk a lot about Atlassian tools, and one such tool, which technically is not really Atlassian tool, but it was later on acquired by Atlassian, I guess, is of course Trello. I've made videos on Trello, not really a lot, but few videos, but I don't really use it myself, and I don't really, feel confident, or I don't really think I'm qualified enough to talk about Trello. But using Trello is something which is not difficult at all. Personally, I don't use Trello because I can do the same thing pretty much in Jira. But I think it can be a really useful tool. For example, I thought I'll probably just make a quick video today, and I will show you how to use it. So whenever you sign up with Trello, I mean, of course, you can go to Trello.com and blah blah blah, and you can create an account. So the first thing that you can do, or you might want to do, is create a workspace so that you have like your own, club or a place where you can, manage your work. So what I'll do, I'll probably name my workplace, and I'll start by creating it. So my workplace name is called as Sparksys, and then you have to select the type of the workspace. So again, because I am not massively confident or familiar with this concept of workspace in Trello, I'll of course not be able to tell you what exactly is the difference between engineering and small business, because if you are trying to manage, let us say, a project where you're trying to deliver something like a marketing project, you can probably select marketing, but I'll select here engineering because I want to maybe just deliver something which is probably for a dev team, and then I click on the continue. So whenever you create a new workspace, you can then create a new board, and this board name could be anything. For example, it could be, let us say you have a team called Android, and you want this to appear within your workspace, or maybe if you want to make it as public, so you can also make it as public if you want, but I'll just leave it as workspace, and then I'll create a new board. But what you can also do is you can also create a board with a template, and when you create a new Trello board with a template, you can select, of course, different templates here. And if you want to learn more about these templates, you can actually click on this explore templates. Uh, I mean, it's a bit similar to what we have in Jira, but again, it is actually better because you can actually see how these templates work. For example, I want to create a project board for my team, and they are doing something, maybe using maybe they're following Scrum, or maybe they are following like a standard methodology. But I will create this template which is called as, or use this board template called as Trello Agile Sprint Board Template. I'll click on it, and then I will use the template. So this is actually interesting because when you create a new template, you still have the option to do few things here, like you can configure it. But again, because Trello also comes with different plans, you may not be able to do each and every configuration, which is a bit sad, because when you're using Jira free version, you can actually pretty much do, I mean, of course you can't really do each and everything, but talking about customization, even on the free version of Jira, you can do all the customization. And that is also one more reason why I don't really bother too much about Trello. But again, Trello is super easy to use. So let us create a new board, and I will wait for the board to appear. So this is of course my board with some information here, and you can see here that on the left hand side you can see your workspace. You can see all of your boards. You can also add other people, so they might be already added to your workspace. So you can always make sure that whoever is interested in using this board, they are added here. And the way the board works is quite similar to what a normal sprint active board works, or maybe a Kanban board works. And you can of course simply just pick items from your backlog, and you can keep on moving it on the right hand side. And of course you can simply just resolve it or make it as done. But because I come from Jira background, this is all good. This is great, but I need the power of Jira. I need the power of customizations. I want to define my own workflow. You can actually do a lot using Trello, but again, it is not Jira. It is a very simplified to-do list manager, a bit more glorified, to be honest. And if all you care about is list of activities that you need to maybe um, complete, you can simply just use these different columns, and you can also let me also show you one more thing. So let us say it is not exactly like a typical Jira workflow, but in a way you're more or less doing the same thing. And sometimes I think because Jira is a nice tool that you can configure, you can also uh, customize it. Sometimes people also over engineer it, because in most cases uh, you don't really need to have like a you don't really have to create like a very tight workflow. It is always good to have if you are, let us say, working in a very big company, a bank. But if you're a startup, or maybe if you have a small team, or maybe especially for a non-technical team, I think this simple board where you have these columns and you just focus on the items that you need to work on, you can of course simply move it from one list to another list. So it is in a way not too different from Kanban, but at the same time, it is a bit more fancy. You can also, when you're using Trello, there is a concept of Power Up, which is basically their app. So you can also use their Power Ups if you want to extend the capabilities of the tool. But to be honest, I'm fine with Jira for the time being. And at the same time, I also want to say that because I never really used Trello for doing some actual work. Maybe I'm wrong. So if you have, if you want to challenge me, or if you think Trello has some features that can definitely replace Jira, not in each and every aspect, but maybe for a simpler use case, then do let me know. I know that you can have different fields. You can also have, of course, these apps. And if you look at the way this particular card, it is not really called as an issue. The way it works, it is again, you have a view of what you have in this particular activity in this particular card, and you can of course add your comments. So not massively different from what we do in Jira, but again, it is also at the same time not too different from what we do in other tools like Monday.com or Asana. We have a lot of other tools. But if you again, this is just me being biased about Jira, and I know Trello is also a tool or one of the offerings from Atlassian, but at the same time, I'm not really a partner, so I don't really want to say that okay. I don't really want to recommend one tool which Atlassian is trying to recommend because they think it is great. I know Trello is great, but at the same time, I'm not really qualified. I'm not really experienced, and I tried using it, to be honest, in the past, but I couldn't use it because I was looking for those features. Because the moment you start using a tool, and the moment you have some dependencies, people want to, and this happens a lot with me, and I see it every day as part of my work that I do. When they start using a tool, they of course want to have a process behind it. They also want people to get notified. They also want people to follow a workflow. They also want to do some automation. So Trello can do bits and pieces of these things, but not really each and everything. And that is why Jira still, for me, uh, is, is a recommended way. But I know at the same time there are teams where they don't care about those configurations. But at the same time, whenever you're doing a new adoption of a tool, you should think about what you're doing right now, and you should also think about what you are going to do in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year. So, and again, as a consultant, I do ask these questions to my customers. What exactly are you trying to do right now with a tool like Jira, or maybe with a tool like Trello, or maybe if you are using Trello with Jira, because you can also integrate these two tools. So don't just think about what you're doing right now. Also think about what you're going to do in future. And if you're growing as a team, because whenever you start using a tool, when you're a small team, let us say you have a team of 5 people, great. You don't really need a lot of processes. You don't really need a lot of controls. You can actually just ask someone directly, or you don't really care too much about the compliance. You don't really care too much about the permissions and privacy and who should see what. But when you grow from 5 people to 20 people to 100 people or maybe to 200 people, then you need those things. And that is where if you think you're going to reach that stage where you will grow as a team, where you will scale up, then use Jira. Don't use Trello. That would be my recommendation, because when you start using a tool like Trello, it might seem simple in the beginning, but you will hit a wall, and then you will regret not using Jira in the beginning. And to be honest, if you're using Jira, for example, Jira Work Management, I think I think it's good. And I did make a couple of videos on Jira Work Management, where I did talk about, okay, Jira Work Management can have different views. So Jira Work Management is in a way a simplified version of what you can do with Trello. And again, everything is in Jira. So because if you start using Jira Work Management, and if you have to scale up, or if you have to maybe have a bit more control, you can always know, because the way Jira works, essentially, even right now, for company managed projects on Jira Cloud, you still have the power of workflows and permissions and field configurations. So use Jira Work Management instead of Trello if you can, to begin with. And if you're confused and if you have doubts, then use Jira. That would be my recommendation, because you will be safer. And that is it. So this video is not really anything against Trello. Trello could be great, but if you're doing something simple right now, and you're going to do something simple for the next few years, Trello is fine. Anyways, that is it. That is it for today's video. And I do receive a lot of questions about Trello on my service, on my support, where people want to know whether they should use Trello. Sorry about the volume. So they do ask me these questions, and first of all, I don't really use it myself, and I tried and I couldn't. So Jira is always my fallback tool. And whenever someone is asking me this question, we are trying to do something with Trello. Do you recommend using Jira instead, or do you recommend sticking to Trello? I ask them the same question. What exactly are your plans? Are you using it just now for a small initiative, or maybe if you are a small team, maybe you are a team of lawyers and you just want to keep track of the work that you want to do every day, then Trello will work fine. But the moment you start scaling up, the moment you have more work, the moment you have processes, then Jira is the tool that you should be looking at. All right, that is it for today. Bye bye.